Hello, and welcome to another episode of Reverse Ambition, a podcast that features people who chase their dreams and their passions. I have an amazing guest today. In my mind, she's been a pioneer in her field, in terms of entrepreneurism, in terms of she started out in the music industry, working for Good, Violator Management, Monami Entertainment. She transitioned into advertising, working for Steve Stout's agency. And in 2011, she started her own company, Gill Creative Group, which is a boutique brand management consulting firm that delivers cultural currency across all client business through music, social, partnerships, and brand strategy. Please welcome the amazing Tiffany Hardin. What's up, Tiff?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for getting on this call. And I'm eager for people to hear your journey. So I usually start by asking my guests where they're from, where they went to college, where they majored in.
Got you. So where I'm from is a little bit difficult. I grew up between the South and the Midwest. I was born in Germany. My dad was in the Army at that time. And then both my parents are from the South by way of Mississippi and South Carolina. And so after I was born, we made our way to Virginia. I lived in Jersey for a little bit when I was a kid, and then spent most of my time between Alabama and Texas before we moved to Wisconsin for my dad's job, which was maybe in the middle of my freshman year of high school. So I tended, the short answer is between the Midwest and the South, but we have a long format, so I'll tell you all the things. And then after moving in Wisconsin, that put me in the Midwest. And for college, I went to Columbia College Chicago. Being in Wisconsin, I wasn't in Milwaukee or Madison where like people of color were. I was in a small town called Neenah, which is a paper town, a foundry city. And I really longed for diversity coming from Dallas. Like I was used to that. But so I knew I wanted to go to a school that had a city element and a diverse element, but also while I was in high school, I always was into music and singing, and I was in choir, and I was in drama and show choir. If there was a stage, I was on it,
Okay.
which isn't too dissimilar from now. But, I knew that I wanted to be in music. And when I was in high school, I had a really interesting inflection point that made me realize that I wanted to explore music business. And so that's what made me choose Columbia College Chicago, is because they have a music business program. And I decided to go into that. So my degree is in arts, entertainment, and media management.
Okay, wow. All right. So after college, what did you do? Did you come to New York right away, or,
Yeah, I came to New York in the middle of my senior year because, while I was in school, I was really, from like maybe my junior year of high school through, I was very focused on, on networking and connection. And early on, a seed of thought came into my head, which was, in order for me to be a great talent manager, which is what I wanted to do at that time, and still do really. I knew I had to be under someone who could teach me these things, because it's an industry that, especially talent management, it's an industry that you have to work with a master talent manager. You can't, even if you were working at a company that did talent management, especially like the bigger companies or an agency or whatever, you still had a lot of, you could get lost in the sauce, essentially. And
right.
So I had an internship with a cat named John Monopoly, who was the founder of Hustle Period Management and was the president of Good Music at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked with Kanye and Kids in the Hall and Consequence and GLC and all these Chicago acts. And he asked me to be his Chicago assistant after I had brought him in for something for school, like a talk for school. And so I learned a lot working with him, and he was the reason why I was able to get introduced to Mona Scott.
Okay.
And I was in the middle of my senior year, and I remember having a conversation with him, and I told him I wanted to graduate with a job, and he had introduced me to Mona to bring her into Chicago for another talk the school was producing, and she said yes. And then he also let her know that I was looking for a gig, and at the time she was looking for a new assistant, and so the stars aligned. And the short story is that she offered me the position, I think January 2007 or December 2006, and I moved January 2007, which is the middle of my senior year of college. So I started, I took a U-Haul and
wow. You drove from Chicago?
Drove from Chicago, me and my business partner at the time. So I had businesses in college.
Wow.
Took a U-Haul and moved me to New York. And it was the middle of winter, and stayed, at the time I was in Astoria, Queens.
Wow.
And that didn't last very long. It was about like 3 months. So I was like, gotta go. But I didn't
You didn't know New York like that. You didn't know better, huh?
I didn't know. I didn't know any better. But it worked for the time that it needed to work, because my roommate at the time was a loose associate of my father's board member, peer. So and it just worked. It worked out. And she also she was an alum of my school.
Okay.
So we had mutual people. But I say that to say, to answer your question, I went from college straight to New York City to be Mona Scott's assistant, who Mona Scott is, at the time, she was the president of Violator Management and Record. So I was working on, I was her assistant and working on Missy Elliott and Busta Rhymes.
How was that experience? How was that experience out of college? How was it being Mona Scott assistant?
It's baptism by fire, I think I was 21 when I moved here, or moved to New York. And, I had maybe a week with her former assistant, and then everything was it was a lot. It was long hours. It was events. It was reading scripts, because Mona was really into TV and film, and lo and behold, she's doing it. And there was a lot of lessons learned about navigating people, and understanding that the business is a certain way. And so there are many lessons that Mona's taught me. But and I'll be the first one to tell you, my memory retention game was just not on point. I was supposed to do what?
Wow.
But she obviously saw something in me, and she wanted me to learn how to think. I think she knew that I was a people person, and that I could negotiate, and that I could get things done. I tend to focus on the big important things.
Right.
But some nuances, I'm whatever.
Right. So you don't sound like you're a detail oriented person.
It's funny. I am, but I'm not. I'm like I said, I'm a detail oriented person related to marketing and perception and a deal, right? But if you ask me to I'm not, I don't want to, I'm not I don't enjoy tedious things, so there's definitely this piece of me that's like, you know, trying to like, I'll try really hard to be
Right.
like,
I know. I
you
know that feeling. To do the
but
things you don't want
it's
to
like,
do.
oh God.
It's
I was like, wait,
frustrating.
I missed a comma. Oh, I'm sorry. Whatever. Like, did the deal get done? Okay.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right. Are you serious about
you
man,
know.
comma? I just did this damn deal. Really? You know? So,
No, 100%.
how long were you with Mona, and how did you transition to the next
Yeah.
opportunity?
Yeah. I was with Mona for, well, that was interesting. So I was with Mona for, in totality, about a year and some change.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle of it, she essentially left Violator to do Mona Me Entertainment full time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the transition was pretty easy. I mean, Chris Lighty fired me because I was never with Mona. Like, I was basically working at a Violator, and
Wow.
she had a whole other office, like in Soho.
Uh-huh.
And he would always ask me where she was at, and I'm like, I don't know.
Oh.
I know where she's at. And so one
You were
morning,
just covering her.
yeah. And then one morning, you know, Mona called me super early, and she was like, okay, listen, Chris is going to let you go. But who knows when he's going to do it? We don't know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So she, you know, just gave me the talk. It's like, whenever that happens, just come over, like come to the other office.
Wow.
So I was like, okay.
Okay.
So I know this is so ridiculous, but music business. So I went to work. I went to Violator. It was on 25th Street at the time, and I the front desk woman told me that Chris wanted to see me, and Chris never wants to see me. You know, I don't work for his side of the team, so it was like, oh, okay. And so, like, the whole time, like the whole morning, I was listening to Duffel Bag Boy, just like
preparing yourself
like,
mentally.
My mind, like, that, yes, 100%. And so we had a really casual conversation, and he was just like, yo, and I looked at him, I was like, it's cool, like, it's totally cool,
Right.
And he's like, but the thing is, he's like, you know, and you're not working on my projects and da 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 da, you know. I was just like, it's fine.
Right.
You know, so we just ended up just like chopping it up, and then you know, I locked up Mona's office and went to work at her other office.
Wow. It's so interesting how, you know, I would say casual, unstructured, you know, transition in the music industry is, as opposed to, you know, very structured in corporate America or government, whatever. It's literally a relationship thing. You know, is that, am I right for saying that?
No, 100% it's a relationship thing. I think all of it's a relationship thing. But I do think that when you are in those types of positions too, like the way people move in and out of spaces and places, it's relationship driven. And so just why I like that movie Black Godfather with Clara Savant, like that was the whole lesson in the movie, was his entire career was based on relationships. And that's it.
It's not what you know, it's who you know, huh?
Yeah, well, who knows you and who believes you?
Ooh.
You know, and who is able to say, you know, I want to do this thing for you because, you know, not only because you did something for me, but because, like, you know what, I trust you.
Wow.
Like, that's the biggest thing.
Wow.
And I think when people, like, part of what I hope that I offer people in any industry that I'm working in is that, like, oh, I trust her. Right. You know, like, if she says she's going to do X, Y, and Z, she's going to, do it. And if for whatever reason it can't get done, then, like, she's going to be transparent about what needs to occur, you know, and have a better option than before.
Right.
So, you know, that's really what it's about. And my transition out of Mona Me was to go work for Steve Stout at Translation, was up through relationships as well. I was at a point then where I needed something different. And I really wasn't thinking about, I didn't go out and seek out or translation or marketing or whatever. I was all about talent management. I was all about like, you know, the production budget and fluffing that up and like, you know, creating relationships with, you know, the companies that I needed to get dollars from, you know. And I went to translation because at the time I needed more security. I was 22 and I needed more security in my life. And
what do you mean by security?
I needed benefits. I needed help. I mean, my salary when I was working for Violator was like $25,000.
Wow.
You know, this is nothing. Like,
right. It's New York.
Yeah, I was like, this is New York. I don't know how I survived, and I was in a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, I don't know, by myself. Like, I don't know what kind of God life I'm living, but it's serious. I don't know.
Listen,
I don't know what's going on. And I was still taking cabs. The nerve.
Wow. Still living the high life of a $25,000 a year salary, living a 1-bedroom in New York City. Wow.
Listen, I don't know what was going on. And I had people on my couch, you know.
Wow.
Just because, like, you know, when you're young and people are like transitioning,
right?
Like, I'm always I'm the first one who's like, yeah, you can stay with me.
Wow.
You know, like, because I know, one, I don't keep bums on my couch because, like, I know they just need a place, like,
right,
for however long until they like figure it out. But like, also, like, I had a friend that was working for Bad Boy, but she was going to get a place in Coney Island. I was like, are you crazy?
Wow,
I was like,
that commute is crazy.
Like,
that cab ride home from an event is crazy.
Crazy. I was like, no, you're going to stay with me. Because, like, I live in Harlem, like, that's not a thing. Coney Island, whatever, get out of here. And then, you know, we ended up like living together for a good chunk of our New York experience. But, you know, when I worked for Stout, the concept of influencer marketing or, which wasn't a thing in 2008, you know, that wasn't the thing, but, influencer marketing, culture marketing, you know, all of that stuff was what I learned. And it was something that, you know, I was able to really activate my relationships and culture to be like, oh, wait a minute, like, these brands are interested in, you know, connecting with the talent that I know or work with and getting them involved in campaigns or, you know, some sort of communication initiative or whatever. And I just thought I was like, I can do that. I was like, I know what this is, you know. And on the flip side, I was like, you know, the talent and artists and, you know, all these folks that have platforms and are able to mobilize audiences through their messaging,
right?
You know, they need to connect with
brands
for brands for, you know, just straight up like fiscal purposes,
right?
You know, and it just made a lot of sense to me. Then I started to understand like how both of these things go together, and I realized that I'm a marketer, you know, like and
as opposed to a talent manager, you know, you're a marketer now.
Well, I think,
or in addition to
it will. Here's what I'll say: when you're at the time, I would tell you, in addition to, and what I've learned is that if you're a good talent manager, you're everything. You're everything. You are a marketer, you're a talent manager, you're a negotiator, you're a lawyer, you're everything. And if you're a great talent manager, then you also know more than anything, you're a marketer. Your entire job is to expand the growth of this talent and the exposure of this talent for dollars, for audience of, you know, for the audience. And by way of helping to make that vision come to life. So when, you know, Beyonce has an idea and say, you know what, I want to do this thing at Coachella, and I want to do this, and I want to make a documentary out of it. Well, I'm going to call Netflix. Okay, so the whole piece of that is, how can you market that and make it bigger? Like, the whole job of the talent manager is to hear an idea and say, I know how to get that done. Or I think we can go bigger. Like, I see what you're saying. Like, here's an expanded view. And that's for people who are, that's the talent manager marketer, me. There are some people who are in talent management that are just about that, but are mainly about like the details of, like, you know, waking the artist up on time and, you know, getting them to the shoot or to the thing. You know, it's about relationships. Like, you would be in a tough position if you're a talent manager and nobody wants to work with your talent.
Wow.
Because, like, you have to work that much harder to build relationships, because now people are like, I don't fuck with your talent, but I mess with you.
Wow.
Like, I'll do this for you, you know? And that's an interesting place to be in as well, right? When someone's like,
I like you, but I don't like your talent.
Yeah.
I don't like your product, pretty much.
Yeah, essentially, you know, and, you know, but that's the business of what, you know, what we have going on. And so at Translation, as I grew from being C-staff assistant into being a strategist, I really learned not only the concept of these things and how to, like, make something happen. I also learned how to put it together on paper. Put it together on paper.
Is that what a strategist does? Because I've heard that term so many times. I'm a strategist.
Yeah, I think it depends on, like, if you're in the advertising world, then yeah, it's about the roadmap. It's about, like, what is this, like, nugget of information, is the nugget of insight that you're going to garner from human behavior, cultural trends, consumer trends, whatever, and apply that to what will be salient to put in a communication device. So, like, whether that's an event, whether that's, you know, an actual, like, ad, whether that is, like, on TV, a broadcast, print, whatever, or if that's a social media thing. You know, if you're doing a big campaign, you'll optimize all of those channels, but like, the point of a strategist is to be able to help lead the foundation of the why. Like, why are we doing this? You know, and now you have a lot of tacticians out there. There are a lot of people that are incredibly tactical, like, incredibly, like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. Like, okay, but why?
Right.
You know, and if you're able to say, well, you know, we're going to do these things because as a brand, we know that when we have agency in the space because of this, and we're applying that here, you know? So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people that say that they're strategists but aren't able to at least think linearly, this isn't a real word, but, like, linear enough to put something on paper so that other people can follow. Because, you know, I was telling somebody else this other day, like, you know, the result, you don't want to have to see the strategy, like, in the result. You know, like, when you watch a concert, you don't want to have to see, like, Beyonce counting her steps. You know, you just want to see her dance her butt off and be like, oh, she bad, like, she great, I love this.
You want it to be fluid. You want it to be like, you know, like you've been there before. You know, it's supposed to happen.
Act like you've been there. Yeah, act like you've been there before. And so, you know, that's the difference between some ads, when you watch them, you're like, ugh. And then some ads, when you watch them, you're like, oh, this matters to me. Or I was thinking the same thing. Or, you know, whatever. Like, it's things like that. And I think, you know, what I learned when I was at Translation was the best communication revolves around cultural nuance, and how are we able to help not just brands but talent as well understand like what their secret sauce is, and then turn that up for
Amplify that.
Amplify that so that, when you're putting something into the world, it's truly authentic.
Damn, girl, you're teaching a class right now.
Well, I did, right? So like I
Right.
was a teacher, an adjunct professor at NYU at Clive
Oh.
Davis. I taught Brand Partnerships 101, and I also did the capstone class where I helped graduating seniors, kind of codify like their work over the years and present that with an ask. Like what, especially if you're in the music business, it's like in your talent, you can do the thing where you like sort of say, oh no, the other person's gonna ask for me, or I have my business. It's like you need to know what you want at all times. Like you need to know what you want so that you can make the ask, and you are able to, tell a group of people that potentially could help you. I'm looking for a publishing arrangement. I'm looking for relationships or contacts. I'm looking for an investment. I'm looking for, what do you want? I think all of us actually, not just students, but I think all of us need to continuously be in the habit of asking for what we want.
Wow. And that's a problem, right? People sometimes are afraid to ask what they want, and some people don't know what they want. So I think that's a lot of problems why people be frustrated with their careers or the direction of their careers, because they're just going, they're not taking control, and they're not taking possession of their journey. So you're right, knowing exactly what you want is a big solution for all that. How long were you at translation? And I think that's after that you started your company, right?
Yeah, so I was at translation for 5 years. I started my company while I was at translation in 2011. And then I left in 2013. And
you left benefits and all that?
I left it all.
Wow.
I left it all.
What motivated you to do all that?
Well, I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. Like I always knew that I was going to have my own thing. And I, at the time, had a business partner who, it felt like we were going to, be the next like Mona and Chris Lighty. It just felt very like we have a producer that has tracks with Khaled and, J. Cole, who was really bubbling at the time. And like,
J. Cole was your client?
No, his producer.
Oh, okay.
And we had, I was working with Karen Civil and all of her stuff, and helped to create a blueprint for her as a blogger turned personality, media personality. And then, this influencer thing was just starting to tip. So I was working with a lot of brands, like putting them in touch with the Vasties of the world, the Clark Kent, the, Kendrick Lamar's, like whoever. And it just seemed like the right fit. And I also became more and more stagnant in my position. And I was rolling in at like, I don't know, like 10 o'clock, 10:30. I don't know. Like I was just like over it.
Wow, you were done. You weren't passionate about it anymore.
Yeah, not even close. Love the people. The sort of moment was I had my review with my mentor and who's my boss at the time, obviously, and and it wasn't Steve. It was my friend Marcus Collins, who runs social at Donor Agency. But at the time, he had launched the social discipline at translation. We were having my review, and he's like, everything's cool, whatever. And then he looked at me and he said, you don't want to be here.
Wow.
I looked at him and was like, what?
Wow. Were you trying to hide it? You were like,
yeah. And I thought I was hiding it. I thought I was hiding that. And I obviously wasn't. But he also said, why aren't you doing what you want to do?
Wow.
And that was like the $1 million question.
Why, right? Why?
Yeah, like why aren't you doing what you want to do?
What was your answer?
And then in the moment, I didn't really, I was like, I didn't
Right.
have one.
Mm-hmm.
But what I asked myself at that moment, I was just like, yeah, yeah, like I gotta go.
Wow.
And I realized that, and the question I was asking myself was, who are you being loyal to?
Mm. Mm.
That's always the question. Like, who are you being loyal to? Who does it serve
Right.
that you're sitting in this seat and collecting your little check or whatever? Like, I've never subscribed to, okay, and when I'm a account executive, I'm going to be the associate account or the group account executive, and then the group director, and then the super senior strategist. Like, I don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's like positioning, never, in terms of like what corporate ladder positioning,
Mm-hmm.
has never moved me at
Mm-hmm.
all. And it sounds good for other people, I guess, but like I realized that wasn't because I realized also, like, you don't get those things because it's merit based. Like, some scenarios, yes, but like in the industries that I am in, like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as your money's good, like, whatever. You could be a director forever if your money's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one cares. But if you care, then you're going to operate differently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're going to speak differently, and you're going to cultivate that thing coming to you because that's what you care about. And I believe in the law of attraction. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I realized I was like, who are you being loyal to? And realized I needed to go. And so that was what was put in motion. And so in 2013, I officially left translation to be on my own. And 2013 was a hard year. It was a very, very tough year.
Mm-hmm.
I remember December 31st at like 11:58 and being like, get me the fuck up out of this year. Like,
What was so hard
I
about
was,
it? What was so hard?
well, I mean, everything was hard. I had left the agency. The year I left the agency, I was, personally, I was not satisfied with, relationships in my
Mm-hmm.
life. I felt like, I needed to do different things. And, 2014 wasn't easy either, but like, that was really like the first full year of me being on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, there were phone calls I had to make that I was very uncomfortable with. One of them being to my family. Like, asking for $20 is
Wow.
a position of vulnerability. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it's not something I take lightly. Like, I wasn't raised to. I was raised to ask for what I want, but I was also raised to, like, provide the receipt. Like,
Right.
you know, and when my family is in the South, so like, and they're fine. They've made a great living. I'm not in a position where I have to like send money back home or like all this stuff. I'm very, very blessed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a Virgo, and I'm really about like doing the do and like making everything work and happen and performing and all that jazz. And so, um, I think at that time I was 27.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just hard to make a phone call to ask for help, just point
Mm-hmm.
blank period. Um, it's difficult, but you make the phone call. Like, don't be stupid. Like,
Right. Right.
you make the phone call, you swallow your pride, you make the phone call, but you do it with people that you trust,
Mm. Right.
that you trust and have your best intention at heart, that want to see you succeed.
Right. They
You
don't want to
don't do
like,
it
okay,
with
I'm doing this for
people.
you. Then I mean, you owe me something later. You know.
Right.
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 And I think I could relate to that in terms of transitioning to doing my own thing. You're excited. The world is in front of you. Have all these great ideas, and then you hit that rock bottom where you have to make that phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the the journey. I don't know, not all entrepreneurs do it, but a lot of them do, in terms of, you're out on your own, you're starting up, and starting up is so expensive because you got to do so many different things to get it going. And then when you do all those things, you're like, okay, what else do I have left? And then that call has to be made, whether to be your family member, whether to be your partner, something. I mean, I could relate to that 100%.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. And, I think the reason why this is crucial to learn if you are chasing your dreams and if you are moving into entrepreneurship is that, you're not alone. I don't care. It may not be your family. It may be that weird cousin from like around the way or like that you don't talk to, or like it may be, someone who's in your, like, not your immediate circle, but it's someone who's maybe like 3 rungs out from your immediate circle. But there's someone who will actually help you, that will actually say, you know what, I see you hustling, I see you working, do you need help with something? Do you need me to set up that event for you? Do you need me to work the front door? Do you need help with, photography? Like you got it. Like you have every resource that you need if you're willing to actually ask. I think a lot of times our culture, our people, we're Black. So like we kind of huddle, like we kind of put our little dream in this, like, not even a dream, because like it's not just a dream. It's like there are like tactical things that need to occur that we like put in this basket, and we say like, you're gonna do all of the things. It's like you don't have to do all of the things.
Right.
You can give people tasks and say like, you know what, I need your support with X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Like I sent a slew of texts this morning because I need help with I'm doing a talk series and I need help with some promotion. And I know people that have resources and huge email lists and all the things. So I'm like, I need you to send this out for me.
Right.
And that's it.
Right. It's done.
And it's done. And it's done. And, they feel good about helping me. I feel good about them helping me. And,
right.
Like and it's done because, by the way, and this goes back to relationships, like there's, for me personally, over the years, not counting college, like over the 12 years I've been working professionally, like I've connected a lot of people. I've lobbed resumes. I like be sending resumes everywhere for people. I have had conversations with a lot of people. I've done pick your brain lunches with a lot of people. I've,
for free.
For free. And I don't feel a way about that. I don't feel a way about that because, one, I personally enjoy, I'm a curious person. I want to know about everyone. Like if I could have like a mental download of every human story, like I would be the happiest camper because I would just be walking around the neighborhood like, hey, Jen, hey, Julie,
right.
That's my friend from there. That's a real life.
Right.
I would just be like, everybody, I understand how everybody can get along, And like, that's my thing. Like, I appreciate knowing a little bit about everyone because I think it harnesses the humanity in us all. And that's what I'm always about getting to is, getting over the lie that we're alone because we're not. It's just a lie and it's divisive and it's stupid. And
no man is an island.
No man's an island. And it feels that way in our thoughts because we choose not to express when we are feeling like we made a mistake or feeling like, oh shoot, someone's going to judge me from this.
Right.
Or whatever that experience is of doubt, shame, anger, whatever. Brene Brown talks about this a lot. Like whatever that is, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
or you don't want a reaction, or you don't want to deal with an emotion someone might have. But when we do those things, we box ourselves in, and we
Mm.
don't allow other to actually show up for us in the way that we do need.
Mm.
Like, so what happens is, this happens in relationships all the time. Someone is upset. The other person has no idea what's happening, doesn't even recognize that the person's upset. The person's upset by themselves. and then
Right.
and then when something happens and there's a conversation, like, there's an attitude, and and other is like, what happened?
Right.
If that person even cares about the relationship. Like,
Mm-hmm.
did I do something? Like, why are we in this space right now?
Right.
I didn't know. I was chopping tomatoes. You came in upset. I don't know what's going on. Like,
Right.
but someone has to be, my mom likes to say, someone has to be the godlike one in the relationship.
Mm.
Like, someone has to be the one to say, one, either help me understand, or two, I'm sorry.
Mm.
Like, whatever that thing is.
Right.
And this is, no relationship is sacred, like, from these things. Every relationship will have a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Every relationship will have a moment where you're, doing something that someone else is triggered by, and
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. Like, everything will do that. But what the difference is between strong relationships and weak ones is that no matter what kind of relationship it is that there's always someone to say, or someone that will be willing to acknowledge their own shit,
Mm-hmm.
and say, listen, you know what? When this happened, it made me feel like this, but I know that wasn't your intention. I just wanted to let you know, just so that you understand why I would react a certain way.
Right.
I'm working on this. Thanks for walking with me.
Right.
You know
So
what I mean?
yeah, I totally know what I mean. I mean, communication is one of the hardest things that we have trouble with. Being humility and proper communication in terms of building solid relationships, whether it be personal or business. So
Mm-hmm.
especially in an industry such as music, entertainment, all that. Because everyone, like you said, to keep it to themselves, keep their representative, on, and they don't know how to kind of like, ask for help or, trust others. So, you just give a lesson 101 in relationships right now. So, how have you, I know you said 2013 was hard, 2014 wasn't hard. I mean, wasn't that hard, but it was still hard. So how did your business grow leveraging these life lessons that you've acquired?
Mm-hmm. Um, well, again, relationships, like, some of my clients have been through prior relationships. At my agency, so Translation was one of my first clients, and then I got another client vis-a-vis Mother, another agency where I worked on Microsoft and Target. And then in 2015, I started working on Airbnb through another relationship I had with another agency, and
Mm-hmm.
worked on two big programs that took me to Paris, and one in
Wow.
LA, where I was basically the head of programming and talent for those programs. And I got to learn a lot. I spent a lot of time in San Francisco with the Airbnb team and the senior staff there, and it really opened my eyes to one, San Francisco, the Bay Area, and that culture, but also how my skill set can be applied for tech companies and those
Mm.
that are in that space. So my business grew on that side, especially on the brand side of things, because when my partner and I went our separate ways in 2014, that's another reason why it was difficult. When we went our separate ways in
Why did you
2014,
guys,
well,
separate?
he had his own sort of personal stuff to get through that just when you start a company, there really just isn't room for it. Like we started the company in 2011, but like when I went full time into the company, I thought I needed my partner.
Mm-hmm.
And, when he was like, yeah, nah, I have to, go through my process with, some of his personal things. I was like,
Issues. Okay.
yeah, I had to ask myself what I wanted to do. Like literally it was like, wait, so I'm going to like go back to translation? Like, what am I going to do here?
Right.
Mind you, at that point, I had only had 2 jobs. I was violator and translation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, you know what? You're gonna put on your big girl pants, and you're gonna do it. You're gonna figure it out. And
how was that separation? Was from a business perspective? Was there
horrible? That was my best friend. Best friend.
You know what?
Yeah.
So from a technical business perspective, in terms of paperwork, was there
Mm-hmm.
things that you guys had to do to kind of like say you're no longer part of this?
Yep. He had to sell his shares, and which wasn't a big deal. We were a new company, so it was just like whatever. It was
lawyers were involved and all that, right?
Yeah, but he was in a place where he told me to move on too. He was like, this isn't, he wasn't like fighting for anything. It was just, I'm not going to be of service to this organization. Like,
right.
I'm telling you that right now. Like,
right.
Go on.
Right. It's great that it was a mutual thing.
Yeah, it was, but like my heart was just like, no, it'll be better, But I think he knew what was up, and I needed to respect that. And it broke my heart because I, like anything else, you have dreams that you are planting seeds with somebody, and like up to that point for that 4 years, we were hustling and like doing things, and like he was in studio with the producers and the music talent. I was doing all the brand stuff and with Karen, and like we were doing things, and then it just it wasn't going. Like when it came to a halt, when he really had to pay attention to his personal life, and I respect that 100%. It was difficult, not just for the company, but for our relationship. Because there were things that, and you're in a business relationship, like it's not all transactional. You have to like the person you're dealing with. You have to care about their well-being. You have to like support their well-being. Like if you have a friend who is typically like one way, and then something happens, and you're like, who are you? Like, I don't even know who you are right now. Like, that, like, business aside, as a friend, I'm concerned, know? So, like, all that being said, it was a very difficult transition. I had to ask myself some very difficult questions. Like, I just, I told my family that I was doing this thing. I told everybody I was doing this thing. Like, everybody knows that we've been doing this thing together. Like, what are we gonna do? There was relationships that he cultivated that I was not a part of. Like he was the A&R guy. Like that's cool. I love that shit, but like that's not me. I'm not listening to records every day. I'm not picking records. I'm not gonna be in studio with anyone at 2 a.m. Like I'm not doing it. Like it's not me. I love the idea of it.
But it's not. That's not where you're strong. That's not where your strengths are.
That's not my strong suit. I was like, yo, deliver a record to me and we're going to get it everywhere. Like, I got you. Like we'll figure out how to get the right partner in for releases and blah, blah, blah. But, that's where I took the hit. And so there was a point where, I let go of everybody. Everybody that was on our roster, I let go of except for 2 people. And, even that came to an end because, the business and myself, sustainability is not in talent management. It's not. So, especially when you're breaking talent, sustainability is in my brand clients. So I was like, I need to focus on my brand clients, and I can't focus on anything else,
Right.
So that's where, that's really what it was.
Right.
Um,
Are you still best friend with your partner, your former partner, or the business
no,
kind of affected the relationship?
yeah, like that plus he moved. So
Okay.
there was, how there's people in your life that are always be your people,
Right.
So he could call me for anything. I could call
Mm-hmm.
him for anything.
Mm-hmm.
But our relationship definitely has that definitely shifted, and it was I don't talk to him really,
Right.
um, and I think that that's not for anything less than you know we're we are different.
Right.
You know, we are
Right.
different, and I think that
You guys both change and evolve to different
yeah,
people based on
yeah,
life experiences, and that's part of evolving. That's part of growing up, and that's part of living.
yeah. Well, I also think too, like when the core when the core of somebody when the core of somebody has shifted,
Mm-hmm.
or the thing that attracted you to the person, no matter what
Mm.
relationship it is, has shifted or isn't there, like it's hard for you to connect to other things. So it's like, you know, in my case, and this is for anyone, but it's like if I'm anybody that works with me, if for whatever reason I became recluse,
Mm-hmm.
like and just like, oh, I don't want to go out, I don't want to do anything, I don't want to,
Mm.
like, I'm different. Like,
Wow.
and that would have an effect on my business. That would have an
Right.
effect on my relationships, my friendships,
Right.
and I think, as time goes on, especially if that's becoming a consistent behavior, in any relationship that you were different, people will not, people will come to you for different things.
Right.
You know, but if that's what they were attracted to you for in the first place, then
Yeah. Yeah.
it's gonna be different.
So, in terms of your business, in terms of you, where are you now in terms of being an entrepreneur, in terms of your company, and your personal life? You seem like you're in a great space.
Thank you. Well, from a company perspective, I'm reshifting. I'm reshifting. So for the past 2 years, right? Like I start working. So after I worked and consulted for Airbnb, WeWork called, and I worked for WeWork
Mm-hmm.
for almost 2 years, and then I worked on a nonprofit, Digital Undivided, the tech nonprofit, and I recently left them, and I realized part of me like leaving was realizing like I don't need to work for people.
Mm.
Like that's again like what's for you is for you. Like I realized that for me,
Mm-hmm.
um, my I feel strength when I'm working for myself and when I get to determine my time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I've always had, like especially when I was in like my first year of working at Violator. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I had to walk past the Starbucks and I would see these people like in the Starbucks typing away, and in my head I was like, oh, I can't wait to be
That
like, what
is
do those people
me.
do?
I need to be
That's me. Like
exactly. Oh
yeah,
man,
I
I
was
did that
like,
all the
what do those
time.
people do? Why do they get to do that? No, I don't.
And
Like it
why
was
not
just one of
me?
those
Why
things.
can't I do that? Mm.
Right. And at the time I realized, like, I mean, I was 21, I just moved to New York, so it was like, girl, you need a job.
Right.
But like, I also realized where I wanted to go, what mattered to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it may not have been the right time, but I
Mm-hmm.
knew it mattered to me. And so it was just something that I probably even unconsciously start to cultivate. I mean, right now, like I said, I'm shifting my business. So I went, I went from like working full time to realizing like I need to work for myself full time again. I consult Digital Undivided now, turn them into a client, and then also consult Black Girl and which is a content and experiences platform
Mm-hmm.
made for women of color to really discover and promote holistic wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And that really aligned with me. So not only did I took a step away from like entertainment in this kind of way, but what I really started gravitating to has been wellness, and I realized that I want to work with people and brands that are focused on the well-being of us. And that's what I want. Like, I want that. I feel good about that. I feel great about that. And so, no disrespect to all the hip hop artists in the world, but it's just like, what needs to get my energy is this space and the representation around that space.
Right.
There's residual impact around that, that, can help us as a culture. And so my company is focusing more on that. So I'm taking on brand clients. I'll take on brand clients that are looking to engage our communities from a partnership perspective, and also from like a general market perspective. And then in terms of individual talent, I'm attracted to movements, ideas, things like that. So partnerships for brand management for individual, those types of things. So that's why with Lauren and Black Girl and Gnome, I work with them. I recently did a deal with Apple and Heel House, which is a space in Brooklyn, a wellness studio in Brooklyn. That's incredible.
Yeah. My boy Darren, my frat brother, Darren,
Oh, Darian's, that's your frat brother? Yeah.
Yeah. That's my
Elisa
guy.
and Darian are my people. That was fun. When you watched Godfather, like, I was thinking of them because I was able to double the fee that they were going to receive. And like this, like things like that. When I think about like my place, it is about protecting and really protecting and really elevating our people related to this world. And so like that matters a lot to me to be able to do that.
I get a sense that you're not afraid to be on the forefront, because a lot of times people jump on bandwagons when it's here, but you seem like you're a visionary. You see things coming, and you were like, what, I like that. I want to be a part of that movement, because the holistic space right now is, Darian quitting his job, and in a short period of time, the things that they've done in such a short period of time, and the traction you're getting, the coverage they're getting is like, wow. I remember about 5 years ago, this a friend of mine, she came to me, she was like, oh, I deal with mental health. I want to start something with mental health. And I told her, like, this is something that you have to cultivate on your own, because this is your story. This is your journey. And now there's so many conversations about mental health and well-being. It's amazing to watch. So I feel like you're not afraid of tackling these new challenges, at the same time, new opportunities.
Oh yeah. I completely agree with you, because when I was in college, I told you I had a business in college. When I was in college, I had a company at the time. It's called Digital Arm, and it was stood for Digital Asset Research and Media Management. And so when I was in school, this was around 2000. I graduated in 2007, but the company we started in 2006. So this is when like there was Last FM and like Muxtape and like all these different types of websites that had music on it. And I thought, man, if managers could be smarter about the way people consume their music, then they can make informed decisions about what kind of music to produce, or have the artists produce. And so digital asset research management was all about creating analytics around music. And then what happened was, that was in 2006, and my life was progressing, and I moved to New York and all that stuff, so it got the back burner for a long time. But what I noticed was, at the time, there wasn't any like influencers. That wasn't a thing. it was just musicians, actors, right? And then in 2011, influencers started to populate and as Instagram came out and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, influencers started to be a thing. And so, that's when I started realizing early on, namely with Karen Civil, that that was a friend of mine, and we got introduced. And I remember asking, I was like, "Yo, who's handling?" She had all this stuff going on. I was like, "Yo, who's handling this for you?"
Mm-hmm.
And the talent management side of me came out more, and I realized, like, oh, this is a business. Like, this is a thing.
Right.
And I started to handle more. I started to present her differently, because I was like, you're a publisher, you're a good-looking woman. Like, you could be, on camera. You could, you have a huge platform on social. Like, you can actually sell. These are selling things. Like, you can sell things here if you wanted to make money.
Right.
And so I started, being in the ad business at that time. I started to have conversations with other advertising companies and the Sprites of the world and the T-Mobiles and, all this stuff. And we started doing deals and realizing, like, okay, let's move you from hip hop blogger to media personality. And so we started doing that over the course of 4 years. And then I was, around 2015, I literally was in Paris, and I was like, my brand business was just getting too big. And, we separated.
You and Karen?
But like, it was a good, everything. One thing somebody will always know about me is, like, I don't do drama.
Oh.
I don't do bad separations. I don't do burned bridges.
Right.
Like, I don't do that.
You got amazing energy, so I can't see.
I don't argue about money. Like, I feel too blessed to do that. I will fight for what I think is right. But, like, I'm not gonna argue about money.
Right.
I'm not gonna argue about attitudes. I'm too chill.
Okay. Now, talking about money, I know you're in the forefront of a lot of new stuff. And how do you say this is worth? How do you say this is what this is worth? How do you determine what this is worth? And how do you, like, convince your clients, whether it be from a brand or from a client, that this is my value? How do you determine it, and how do you convince people that this is what this is worth?
I think that you do that. There's two parts. Like, I think one, you do it from a statistic perspective, a data perspective. But even then, that means that somebody else said, "Oh, you're worth $30 per CPM." It's like, who says who?
Right.
Or, like, that's based on an average of something that you didn't create. But for us and for any of my clients, like, when I look at what we're selling, and when I look at engagement, and when I look at the effort and the time that it takes to accomplish whatever it is that we're trying to do, I base it off of that. And I'm flexible. I'm always balancing. It's not just the dollar. Is this a relationship I'm going to come back to? Is this somebody that I want to be in business with?
Right.
Is this somebody that I would like partner to be in business with? Me and Lauren, we're like partners. Like we'll call each other, like, listen, like, this person's weird. I don't know what the deal is. Like, they're a weird vibe. I don't like it. I think that they're just trying to check the box. So if you want to just get the check, cool. Otherwise, like, we can walk away from it. I don't have a problem with it.
You have no problems walking away from bad vibes?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. Like, if somebody's, there have been brands that we've worked with that are very intentional about why they want to work with Lauren or any of my clients, and then at the rate in which they will do that. And there have been a lot of brands that have said, listen, that's higher, but I'll fight for dollars, or that's higher than I thought it would be.
Right.
I want to, like, would you consider, like, offer me a counter? It's a negotiation.
Right. Right.
Offer me a counter. You know,
Right.
like, and if it's a brand like we really enjoy or a brand that we really want to do work with, then you know what we're going to do? We're going to figure it out.
Right.
You know, there are brands right now that we're working on that are, when I say below the market rate, like I would never, like do this,
Uh-huh.
but because of what it is that we're doing in the room we're going to be in, I'm willing to accept,
Right.
you know,
Right.
because what some managers cannot do that I can do is into a room and get everyone's contact and make everyone fall in love with us and then get everyone's money. Like, so
Wow.
I'll take a look. So one person I said, I was like, listen, I'm going to take this lower thing, but this is what you need to do. You're going to connect me to every person that controls a budget in that room.
Wow.
And she's like, done. I was like, done. That's it.
Girl, listen, you know, he dropping so many dimes, so many gems. You know, I'm gonna have to charge for this podcast. Charge my listeners because this is like what they call those classes, those things that they offer online.
Master classes and
Master class. Oh my God. You know, and you know, thank you for really, you know, opening up and sharing so much and sharing your journey. You know, and it's clearly still evolving and still going, and I'm eager to see what that, you know, what's going to look like in the near future, and I'm more than positive it's going to be dope, you know, because every step of the way that you've come, even at your low points, has been, you know, amazing. So, you know, good luck with you. Thank you for sharing all this with me and my listeners. And if there's anything I could do to support your journey, please let me know because, you know, this is so invaluable.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And I am very, very much looking forward to all of the wonderful, wonderful listeners getting in contact with you and sharing their stories. And, you know, if you guys want to reach me, I'm at Guild Creative Group, GILD, creativegroup.com. And you can find me on IG at Tiffany _Hardin, HARDIN. And that is that. I'm always willing to talk and like connect and all that stuff. So thank you for inviting me. And this summer, I have a talk series. I don't know when this is coming out, but one's happening next week, June 20th. And then this summer, I have a talk series happening at Made by We in New York City. So if you're in New York City, every third week of the month, for the most part, I will be in the city dropping more gems with other incredible established entrepreneurs and culture.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know if you need me to send it out. I have about 30,000+ people on my listserv,
Yeah.
and I'm transitioning myself, and I want, you know, I've always wanted to create a platform to bring more substantive stuff to my listeners or to my followers or whatever you want to call it, because I really believe in them, and I believe that once they have the knowledge, they'll take it from there. So please let me know whatever I could share with them, because I think you're amazing.
Perfect.
All right,
Sounds
girl.
good.
Have a good one, and thanks once again.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you all for tuning into Reverse Ambition Podcast. It is really a pleasure sharing these amazing journeys with you. It may take some time for you to find your purpose and realize your dreams, or for your purpose and dreams to find you. When it happens, don't be afraid to pursue them. Be more afraid if you don't. Trust God, trust your journey, and most important, trust yourself, and it will all work out. Until next time, I am Kelsey Cooper, the Social Broker. Thanks again for listening.